Good afternoon. A brief history before I get to the details of today's announcement. When I first sought the office of County Executive, in my meetings first and foremost with the Board of Legislators, in my remarks to them, I outlined several priorities at that time that I believe needed to be addressed to improve not only this county government, but this county as a whole. When I ran for office in that first year in 2007, I stated the same. And those areas included our financial situation, as well as economic development, public health and safety, among others. And of course, one that stood out was our relationship with the Oneida Indian Nation. I stated then and throughout my first year, through an election cycle, that I believed that our best course of action was not through the courts, but rather through cooperation and communication, and ultimately a resolve that would heal the divisions that have plagued our community for too many years. I have never wavered from that position, all the while continuing to protect the county's interests in the courts as we can today. Call it negotiations, call it discussions, call it whatever. The fact is that there is true dialogue between county leadership and Oneida leadership that had not taken place in years. Continue to do. That dialogue has led us to an understanding of each other's issues, and most important, the mutual desire we share in moving this county forward. So to be clear, once again, I have always been on this path and have spent the better part of 2 years working with the Oneidas to reach a resolution. I approached them the same way that any other government or leader could have. I asked them to meet with me in good faith and in the spirit of cooperation and compromise to find common ground and to continue litigation during that process. This two-track approach was announced from the onset and has continued through today. I'm here today to announce the Oneida County Partnership Plan, a plan that I believe is the best for all of Oneida County. And let me stress that point, all of Oneida County. This is one county. And while opinions differ at times, the ultimate goal is to succeed as one county. This plan addresses issues that have been debated for too long and have taken us nowhere. It provides $55 million in much needed revenue for all of Oneida County. This amount is comprised of two distinct elements. First, a $30 million lump sum payment that will be placed into escrow within 5 days of approval by this plan by the Board of Legislators. This $30 million will be shared with all local taxing jurisdictions, cities, towns, villages, and those school districts that exist within the land area. It also provides a long-term 10-year, $25 million agreement, $2.5 million a year to the county for tax stabilization and for economic development initiatives. In consideration of these payments, the county will reach an overall agreement on land issues. First, we will propose to end our legal challenge to trust on the current 8,800 acres of land already approved by the federal government. Second, there will be a 5-year moratorium on any land in trust for the remaining 1,800 acres that was not approved by the federal government. And during this period, the Oneidas agree to make all payments to all jurisdictions and comply with all land use and regulations. At the end of that 5 years, the Oneidas may apply without opposition from the county for trust status for the remaining 1,800 acreage. Finally, from this day forward, the Oneidas will make payments and comply with all land and use regulations on any new additional land that the nation purchases. And most importantly, the county retains the legal right to oppose any land and trust application going forward. As county executive, it is my responsibility to represent all of the people of Oneida County. I believe this Oneida County Partnership Plan will move our county forward I place it today now in the hands of our county legislature and ultimately the state of New York to pass this plan into law. I am confident that as citizens and legislators come to understand and learn the details of this plan, that it will meet their strong support. I ask that everyone take a good look at this before deciding upon its merits, read it, digest it, listen to the people of the county, because as I said at the beginning, I believe it's time. It's time to end 30 years of disputes, 30 years of litigation, of costly litigation, but 30 years of division in a county that shares a name with the nation that we are opposing. So I asked for that today, and I'm glad to take any questions from the media at this time.
You said the 10 years, $2.5 million a year for 10 years?
Yes.
That goes right to the county?
That goes to the county.
And then what happens after 10 years?
What after 10 years? Well, I think it's more important what happens during the 10 years. And that's working in a relationship with the Oneidas moving forward.
How will you respond to the tractors? We're going to say $555 million, that's good, but they owe closer to $500 million.
I think that I put forth a plan that today addresses a positive impact on this county, and $55 million to a county government. I mean, tell me where that's happening in upstate New York, and tell me what other taxing properties have paid that much. I think it's a positive plan. It's a good plan to move us forward.
When you say future land they make payments on, can you just clarify what that means?
Well, there are three areas of land. There's currently the land that's proposed to go in trust by the federal government. There's a second batch that was not approved but was applied for. On that batch, they would pay all and meet or exceed all taxes and standards and on that property as going forward in the 5-year time period.
In the township it's in to the county?
Whether county, school, all jurisdictions that are responsible for those properties.
What other steps are you taking to build a relationship with the United Nations beyond just the issue of payments to the county and agreement to some land and trust?
I think the basis of this agreement does just that in terms of it's not just about the money and dollars and cents. While it's important, it's about having a working relationship with the largest employer in this county and one of the largest in central New York that can grow over the next several years, and we can work in conjunction with them. We have several mutual interests of economic development that literally do not coexist simply because we are not and we do not have a proper relationship with them. And I think that leads to more jobs, more economic development, future growth that this county needs, but more importantly, the end of a dialogue and the end of a discourse that has divided this county for much too long.
What was the downside of waiting for the Second Circuit to issue some rulings on this case?
Well, I mean, the downside all along has been, I think, in my opinion, and again, has been the continuation of lawsuit after lawsuit, and not seeing an end in sight, and really trying to come to an agreement that provides us with a significant amount of revenue, that provides us with a working relationship, that allows us to share that revenue with the entire county. And again, it goes back to the issue of the legal fees that have been paid over the last several years, the millions of dollars in that, and again, I think it's time to move on.
Do you know, as you're saying here today, if the plan you worked out had the approval of at least the majority of the legislature?
Well, I would hope it would. I mean, again, I asked them to, they will get it, and I asked them to listen, to read it, to go through it. We will have discussions again, and listen to their constituents, and let's air it out. Let's do a public meeting, which we are tentatively planning for another week, public hearing, to again let all of the citizens of this community step forward and make their voices known, and let's see where we're going to go. And again, there are contingencies here, though, that I didn't mention throughout my remarks at the beginning. This is required by passage by the Board of Legislators and then the State of New York. The State of New York has a responsibility here, as I believe, that everyone agrees with. I have dealt with 2 governors since I've been county executive, and both of them, in talking about this issue, have told me, go and settle the local issues. There are local issues. You deal with what's local. You come back to us. So what we're doing in terms of this agreement is we have dealt with local issues. We're saying it's time to move forward. Let's move this revenue forward. And now it's up to the state to deal with that sales tax issue